Watchdog.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on June the 28th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I have some great information for you tonight. Let's go ahead and click over to Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel. Here we are, and it says upcoming, but we are actually watching it right now. Episode 1962. Let me click on that. And let's see, Viper Senior and Debbie BS has joined us. We're watching it right now. Oh, that's for sure. Now, let me pause the thing that wasn't live. It was just upcoming. Let me close this out, slide down here, and click the Show More box to expand the description box. And we have information from Andrew Klavan, USA Watchdog, X22 Report, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs here. Greetings from Murtech Intel. I'll check that out later. Joy B. Joy just started following my channel. Nam73 just started following my channel. Sue Kit just started following my channel. Texan for Christ 76, that's a good one, just started following my channel. Duck Fan just started following my channel. S. Stewart 2121 just started following my channel. Lowell Ray just started following my channel. And Guy Folks just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1961. Debbie BS and Viper Senior commented on my episode 1961. TSIW000A and Debbie BS commented on my extra 744A. TSIW000A and Debbie BS commented on my extra 744B. Rose007. Dean Nemary, Golfer 19, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 744C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my videos and your comments. I greatly enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. Let me give this a thumbs up, and Viper Senior's given me a comment already. Good evening, fellow patriots. Where we go one, we go all. Rumble 3 today. Good job. All right, let's jump back up here and get into this with Andrew Klavan. I'm going to play his opening monologue, then jump it up here to about the 8-minute and 2-second mark. But Andrew Klavan, surprise, it's Jihad, episode 1284. All right, let's check this out and see what he has to say. If this will get started, we will definitely be in good shape here.
The midterm political season is gearing up, and since Republicans are busy negotiating with Iran and Democrats are busy flirting with socialism, you may be asking yourself, what are all the intelligent people doing? And really, I have no idea. I think you might be in the wrong country. As we enter the pre-midterm summer, the Trump administration is trying to bolster its popularity by making a peace deal with Iran. So far, the administration has agreed to give Iran billions of dollars in fresh revenue, in return for which Iran has offered to sell the administration a beautiful handmade rug for 50% off the price they were asking on the street. Iran has also agreed to stop trying to acquire nuclear weapons in exchange for nuclear weapons. And they've promised to open the Strait of Hormuz on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 10 a.m. and 11:30 so they can get in there to cater lunch for the guys who are laying the mines. Democrats, meanwhile, are using Marxism as a path to popularity after recent polls showed that 66% of Democrat voters are ready to experiment with socialism. The polls also showed that 72% of Democrats want to experiment with sticking a pencil in their eye to see if they can draw pictures on the inside of their skulls. And 81% want to experiment to find out what would happen if they set their farts on fire after coating their asses with gasoline. In New York, Democrat primaries have elevated socialist candidates like Brad Lander. Lander has promised to develop American politics in solidarity with Cuba because he thinks it would be so cool if Americans drove those HEP cars from the 1950s until they ran out of gas, after which they could set dumpsters on fire so they'd have somewhere to barbecue their house pets. Socialist Daraliza Avila Chevalier also won her primary. Chevalier has shown her commitment to providing people with affordable housing by supporting the mass murder of Jews. Chevalier says killing Jews will make housing more affordable because she hates Jews so much they just somehow make her rent seem higher. Chevalier has also promised to eliminate police and prisons, after which she recommends everyone stay safely indoors unless they're Jews. Socialist Claire Valdez won her primary too and gave a dynamic victory speech. Valdez promised the enthusiastic crowd free health care, and the crowd shouted, hooray. She promised to provide free public transportation, and the crowd shouted, hooray. She promised free higher education, and the crowd shouted, where are we and what's going on? After which the crowd was led gently back to the hospital, where they continued cheering for goods and services that don't cost anything and for the ghost of Napoleon Bonaparte who lives in the broom closet. All of these candidates gained support after they received the endorsement of New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani. Mamdani has become increasingly popular with New Yorkers through his strategy of talking about socialism while actually promoting a jihadism that seeks to slaughter half of America and enslave the rest. As one New Yorker put it, quote, I love Mamdani because he wants to kill me, my family, and everything I value. And his charming smile makes me feel good about myself and the blood-soaked evil that will end my way of life, unquote. Although as of right now, midterm election prospects look grim for Republicans, Democrats are nominating candidates whose policies are absolutely guaranteed to turn our country into a smoking hellscape. The GOP is encouraged by this because the smoking hellscape agenda only has the support of 53% of Democrats, although 27% of Republicans say a smoking hellscape might be cool if there were winged demons in it, like that crazy nun in The Conjuring 2. Now, many of you may be asking yourselves, how did America turn into a country full of such stupid people? And when does the next episode of F-Boy Island come on HBO? But remember, while politicians may be acting badly, there are many brilliant Americans working on important scientific advances like artificial intelligence so powerful it will slaughter half of America and enslave the rest. So cheer up while you still can. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
Well, again, I was all confused about that until I listened to this, and now Andrew Klavan has cleared it all up for me. Now it's great. I can understand what this is all about now. Really? Okay.
.com/Klavan, code Klavan, exclusions apply. Chapter 1, The Mask of Socialism. So last week I said something that I want to modify. It wasn't that it was wrong, but it didn't take in the whole situation. I said that Trump's big mouth was his best and worst trait, that I loved his big mouth because it had shattered the stranglehold of cancel culture and this left, things you were not allowed to say. It's strangled that censorship culture and destroyed it. And that was worth, to me, the most important thing that Trump has done, bar none. But I said it also was a problem because he would say things and make promises that he couldn't keep, and he'd use hyperbole and overplay things. He'll say, we'll get unconditional surrender from Iran and regime change and so on. And that gave the press the capability of attacking him when these things didn't happen. But that's actually not a full picture of the problem. The problem is that Trump is always speaking into his negotiation, which is the right thing to do. When he says, I don't care about the midterms, I'm just going to finish this war, or I don't care about the American economy, I'm just going to finish this war. He's telling Iran, don't wait for me to stand down because I'm not going to do it as part of a negotiation with them. How would it be if he said, we're going to bomb Iran for a couple of months, then the midterms will come and we'll stop? But that was the truth. And because Democrats and the legacy media are one voice, they just absolutely speak in harmony. They capture those moments that he means to be part of a negotiation, and they put them out as absolute statements of fact, and then that can hurt Trump politically. So that is a problem. And that's what's really happening. And, and I opened the show making jokes about the negotiations in Iran. But as I said before, I said last week, and I stand by this, we're not in a negotiation with Iran. We're in a ceasefire that is there because Trump had to deal with the midterms. He had to deal with the midterms. And the reason he had to deal with the midterms is that the interests of our great ally Israel and our fellow free country in the world, one of the rare free countries in the world, our interests are very carefully aligned, closely aligned, but they're not perfectly aligned because we're two separate countries. And the imminent threat to Israel is Iran. So they want us to keep fighting. The imminent threat to America is the Democrat Socialists of America. It is the rise of socialism in America. And what I'm going to talk about in this opening chapter is how those things are one thing. Iran and the Democrat Socialists are actually the same thing. And that's why I feel that some of the commentariat like Mark Levin, John Podhoretz, who get absolutely outraged every time a new leak comes out of the negotiations that we're giving something to Iran, might want to hold back just a little bit and see. I don't think that Trump is going to sell Israel down the river. I don't think that that's what's happening. I think he's taking the battle to the home front. So, and I think, it's an important thing. When you listen, we're watching is the beginning of an attempt by the socialists to take over the Democrat Party. And the Democrat Party is very weak. I mean, they're bleeding, all across the West. The left is bleeding people. They're not gaining people, they're bleeding people. So they're obviously more radical ideas are going to take hold, especially among young people who don't know any better. So the socialists had a banner night in New York. And I just want to point out how aligned they are with jihadism, how aligned socialism is with, they're supposed to be leftists, they're supposed to be for women, they're supposed to be for the ordinary guy, they're supposed to be for freedom. Jihadism is against all that, especially against women, also against religious freedom, also religious. So, which is also socialism, is a materialist thought. So this combination is a very, very strange thing, but it's really important for us to look at it. So 3 leftist congressional candidates endorsed by Mamdani, won primaries over candidates backed by the mainstream Democrat Party, union leaders, and Hakeem Jeffries, Letitia James is all wound up about this. And those were the headlines, but the DSA is also going to pick up 6 seats in the state legislature in Albany. So a lot of socialists going to be coming down on New York. Now, the easiest place to elect socialists is in cities. Obviously, they're very blue. Seattle has a socialist mayor. New York, D.C. will have one soon, and probably L.A. And the thing is, as socialism, and that's going to be very interesting because as socialism spreads in these cities, it's very easy for the rich people, if they get taxed too much, to leave town. So the strategy that you're going to see from socialists is they're not going to do too much. Zohar Mamdani has done nothing. He has done nothing. None of his promises are coming true. The only thing he's done is begged enough money from the state to balance the budget. That's basically the only thing he's done. But people love him. He's got the smile. He puts out the videos. He's got the rhetoric and all that stuff. But as long as he does nothing, they're not going to get the results of socialism, which are disaster. And so he has the power to pick these candidates and flood the Democrat Party, with these socialists. He's actually doing what socialists do best, which is not doing anything, hiding what they believe, keeping their mouths shut, and then bringing the hammer once they've got the power. Socialists are really good at politics, but they're not really good at policy because every socialist policy fails. If you think about it, every single thing that is troubling Americans, inflation, that's because of socialist overspending, right? Inflation is caused by government printing money. That is why there is inflation. There's no other reason. Government prints money, the prices go up because money becomes worth less the more there is, just like something gets diluted. It's just like diluting something. Think about high crime. That's because of sympathizing with people according to the color of their skin or their perceived lack of power, instead of whether they're good people or bad people, instead of following morality. And of course, economies are bogging down in Europe because of environmentalism and the Green New Deal and all that stuff. Almost every problem we're facing is a problem of leftism, not of conservatism, and yet it doesn't matter because that leftist rhetoric carries the day so often. The fact that socialism doesn't work is why progressivism is progressive, right? It's like emphysema, progressive like emphysema and cancer, because it doesn't work. It constantly has to grow and move and find new atrocities that justify its existence and make people forget that it doesn't work. So, the climate is an emergency. A lot of conservatives were laughing this week when Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson declared a trans femicide state of emergency. This was because so many trans people were being killed. In fact, one trans person was murdered in Chicago in a domestic dispute over the last year, whereas 30 to 40 people are shot in Chicago every single weekend, most of them black. So, all of their rhetoric is just to keep that emergency going. There's always so much injustice. There's always crisis coming, because otherwise you see what's going on. I mean, the greatest example of this is the Southern Poverty Law Center, which made its name naming hate groups, like the Daily Wire. You're a hate group. Anybody they disagreed with was a hate group. It was amazing stuff. And then it turns out they were funding the people who ran really real hate groups in order to get them to promote, events that would make people panic and give more money to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and pause it up there. This video will be in my daily news wrap-up. There's about 58 minutes left in this. I'm sure you'll enjoy that if you come by and watch my daily news wrap-up. All right, let me click on this Rumble link here and show you this video does come from Andrew Klavan. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And Viper Sr. and Debbie BS chatting away. Don't poke the bear will not come out well. Yep, that's for sure. All right, let's see what USA Watchdog has to say with Greg Hunter. Sovereign debt crisis may start in Middle East with Martin Armstrong. Let's check this out and see what that's all about. Greg Hunter usually has some pretty good stuff.
I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USA Watchdog. I got to tell you, as a reporter, some of the big stories in the world are all over the place. I mean, in the Middle East, in Iran, they're winning, they're losing. They broke the ceasefire. The U.S. broke the ceasefire. They're in water bankruptcy. They're not in water bankruptcy. They are in water bankruptcy, by the way. They are. That's, people write me, they blew up the radar. No. They're in water. In Ukraine, which is what my next guest said, this was going to go on for a while, just like Iran, going to go on for a while. Ukraine, they're bombing Moscow. Trump is trying to take fighters out of NATO, trying to tamp it down. Germany can't, produce any attack ships. They're basically got people registering for the draft. They're full on wanting to have war. I don't think they have the money for it. It's all over the place. Gold has been crushed. Silver has been crushed all over the place again. And so who do I have on to straighten this out and tell us what the heck is going on? It is none other than Martin Armstrong. Martin Armstrong has answers to all these questions. Martin Armstrong, thanks for joining us today on USA Watchdog.
Well, it's always nice to see you, Craig. I mean, the world's different, but, you're a bright spot.
There's a bright. Well, let's start with Ukraine. You said this was going to go on for a while, and ultimately Ukraine is going to disappear in terms of being a country, and they're working on it, but they sure have advanced their drone technology. What's going on in Ukraine?
Zelensky was given the green light to even expand the war into Belarus. the head of the Air Force came out and said, we're ready to fight with Russia tonight, no less. Look, Europe is in dire straits. If you look at the GDP growth of Italy, it's 0.5%. I mean, it's a tiny fraction of the United States. They're having difficulty even selling bonds. My sources from Brussels said that I don't know what's in the news because I haven't looked at the news, but my info comes from direct sources most of the time. I believe that they have petitioned Brussels that they should issue Euro bonds to hand them money. And this is getting to the point of really no return. So Zelensky's getting much more aggressive, and he's been told, he even has the green light. He threatened Belarus that if they don't take down their towers that Russia uses for sending drones into Ukraine, he will take them down. So he'll invade Belarus. Look, it's out of control. You had Trump basically lifting some sanctions on Russia, energy to help the world because the Strait of Hormuz was closed. And what did Zelensky do? I don't give a shit about what you want or anybody else. And he starts attacking refineries, even the one right in Moscow. Look, I've spoken to people. I mean, my view is you take Zelensky and you take Netanyahu to throw them two in a cage and let them fight it out amongst each other and sell tickets on YouTube. We might, pay off the national debt.
He was on record saying he was cussing out Netanyahu. I mean, he actually admitted it in an interview that he was cussing him out on the phone because he wanted to continue the war in Lebanon. So,
look,
wow. I mean, that's pretty outrageous. I'm just like, what? Holy cow.
You got the Secretary of Treasury calling him, what, Mr. Bean on crack?
I know. How does that affect us in our bond market? Looks like the 10 years about 10.5 or 10.45%. Looks like rates are fairly stable. Oil is at 69. I mean, that's what I do. I hear all this news and go, what's oil doing? Oil price today, 2026, $69. Well, it looks like things are okay. What do you say? How are we doing with the economy, the oil? Is it gonna collapse? What's happening with the economy?
Oil's still under pressure going into the first week of July 6th. After that, you probably get a low, and then you start to rally. Gold, we're calling that it should go down, just break 4,000, and hopefully present the low this week. You usually, look, I'm a trader. And you always have to go to one extreme, and then that gives you the energy like a pendulum to move to the opposite side. You can't get a rally out of nothing. Okay, you got to move it one side to get the rally on the other side. And the same thing with the crash. You go all the way up, and then you crash down. Why? Academics don't understand because they've never traded markets. When I was called into the Brady Commission, the Presidential Brady Commission investigating the crash of 87, I even said, they said, oh, we're going to find the guy that shorted this market and forced it down. I said, excuse me, do you realize that every investigation began with those words and nobody's ever been found? I said, do you understand how markets function? And they don't. Okay, if everybody's bullish, you get 90% bullish. Everybody thinks it's going. This latest news, what happens? And they start to sell. If they panic, now you have 90% sellers. All right, this is how markets function.
Do you think that's where we are now, that we're at a bull market high, if you will, and we're headed for a pendulum going back the other way?
But on the stock market, you mean? No.
Yeah. No. Why is that? Because there's nowhere else to put money. Oh, that's it. There's nowhere else.
It's capital flows. You have, as you know, we've got offices from Dubai to we got offices in China. We have boots on the ground everywhere. I know how capital moves. It's not subjective. It's not, just theory or whatever. You start getting wars kicking up. Middle East, Ukraine is going to escalate more. And then you got Asia. I'll point out when Macron went to see Xi before Trump. And he said, Europe will no longer participate in any war outside of its own territory. So he was wiping off the slate. They will not help Trump in the Middle East. But he also expressly told Xi, okay, they will not participate in anything to defend Taiwan. He gave them the green light to basically take it. So when Trump went there, that's why all of a sudden Beijing was hot on the table. You're not going to hear everything from it. When Trump left, what did he say? He said, I recommend the chip companies move to America ASAP. Okay. I question whether or not, I don't think Trump is going to defend Taiwan either. To get involved in that one, they may have to take him out. I don't know. With the Middle East, I can tell you, I've said, on podcasts that, look, Netanyahu grew up in Philadelphia. All right. He went to grade school and high school. I grew up in that area. All right. He hung out with the Crystals. All right. I knew Bill Crystal. We even spoke at one of our conferences. His father is the one, Irving, who started the neocon movement. So I knew 100% where Netanyahu was, where his head was. He's been a neocon from the beginning. They used him, and he was escorted in to the situation. No foreign leader has ever been there. All right. The neocons got him in there. He convinced Trump to go into Iran, which he is trying desperately to get the hell out. It was sold to him that they knew where the Ayatollah would be. Netanyahu is always the king of assassination. He said, well, kill the Ayatollah, and he thinks you cut off the head and the body falls.
Didn't happen.
He did that in 25. He took out military leaders. Iran has basically reorganized its whole operation. They decentralized the command so that there were 4 tiers. And even Rubio, if you look at some of his last statements, we are negotiating with the 3rd tier. So you take out the head and the body doesn't fall. I can tell you from our sources in Asia, Taiwan is now adopting the Iran model. I mean, just for argument's sake, look at the US. If you took out the president, the vice president, and the Speaker of the House, all right, we would be in disarray. Who's in charge of the military? The Constitution only goes that far. It's centralized control. All right. Iran is decentralized. All right. So you can take out the head and it doesn't stop it. So, the lower people are entitled to, they have their orders and can work autonomously. This is what makes it more difficult with Iran. And Trump is trying to get the hell out because he realizes, in all honesty, that he can't control Netanyahu. And this has been the whole problem with trying to cut any kind of a peace deal, that Netanyahu has deliberately sabotaged. He's trying to talk peace. He escalates in Lebanon. I mean, the problem we have is that we have a conflict of interest. Trump is trying to get out because he's got the midterms, but Netanyahu is going to run again. He needs a victory. All right. Which to me is impossible, but his opposition in Israel is pounding him. We got nothing out of this. You didn't get regime change. They still got their nuclear, what was all this for? Okay, so Netanyahu, if he agrees to peace, he basically loses the election. The polls are already showing you got 61% of Israelis against him.
All right, there you have it, folks. Whew, boy, he's got some great information, and this video will be in my daily news wrap-up. Man, yeah, I don't have anything against Jewish people, but the government in Israel, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with every decision they make, and that doesn't make me an anti-Semite, okay? I'm going to click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog. This is the video I shared with you. It will be in my daily news wrap-up if you want to see more of it. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here. And Sheeby63 has joined us. That's nice. Thank you very much for jumping in here, Sheeby. Okay, let's see what X22 report has to say with Mr. and Mrs. X. D's are trapped in their own narrative. Trump will use it to destroy them. We can only hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed. This is a premium video, so I have Rumble Premium, and I hope you do enjoy this. If you don't have Rumble Premium, it will also be in my daily news wrap-up. Let me jump over here and get this started for you.
Welcome, Mrs. X.
Hey, everyone.
Now, we're in Pride Month, and, under the Biden administration, we saw how they decorated the White House. They put the colors all over the place. They had men with, posing naked on the lawn as women.
Pretty disgraceful.
And it was awful. And you could see Trump during Pride Month, he did something very, very different. He decided to have a UFC fight on the lawn and invited people over, and it was televised, and it was very, very different. And if you notice, the Pride Month is kind of disappearing. It's not that much push. And also, within the stores, you're not really seeing it as much. Remember, this was the deep state plan. They didn't make it a day. No. They made it an entire month right before Independence Day, and they did it on purpose.
And during the month of Flag Day, by the way. Not to mention.
In the month of Flag Day. And they did it on purpose because the more you saw it, the more you heard it, the more they pushed in all the stores and the fake news and everyone else went along with it. Even when you go onto like Netflix or Hulu, they always have like, oh, this is for the Pride people. We're kind of ridiculous because we're all Americans here. We don't say, hey, by the way, this is for the Chinese people.
Right.
I mean, they do it for Black, Black History Month, which is, I also think is ridiculous because that's dividing people.
Yes.
And I think what we need to do is we need to say, no, you're an American.
Well,
yes, you might have a different religion. You might have a different skin color. But again, should we have, Chinese month? Should we have Japanese month? Should we have it? After a while, it's a little bit ridiculous.
It gets out of hand because at the end of the day, we're Americans, and that's what it's about. And it was disgraceful seeing during the Biden administration having the columns, with the rainbow, because it was like, again, we're all Americans, and then trying to make people feel separate and apart, special. It just gets into this really, like you said, divisive culture.
Well, that's what they wanted.
But I also think it's interesting that they chose a rainbow because that, to me, I'm sorry, rainbows typically, like when I was growing up, and again, I've mentioned this before. I used to be an elementary school teacher way back almost 30 years ago, and rainbows, you know what I mean? It was like you learn the colors of the rainbow, this, that. It's appealing to children. Children like the colorful things. It's no accident to me that they chose a rainbow because I think a big part of this agenda has been grooming children into this weird cultural lifestyle that really, like we've talked about this before, has been a detriment to the gay community because it's kind of, it's just gotten so off the rails with this LGBTQ plus YZ. I mean, I don't even know. I can't even keep track of the letters anymore.
No, it's all made up.
But
that's
I
why.
definitely think that the rainbow thing was very purposeful, and it was also making it attractive to children when they're having these like festivals and rainbow and paving our streets with rainbow stuff. And it was just getting like really ridiculous after a while. And, at the end of the day, I've said this before, I really believe a big part of, especially with the 250th, is President Trump is reminding us to be proud of our country, be proud to be Americans. And we're all Americans, whether you are gay, straight, trans, bi, Chinese, Japanese. If you, as an American citizen, you're an American citizen, and that's it. And you're here to celebrate America and be a part of that. And we don't have to do separate flags, separate days, separate months, because you know what? At the end of the day, this is our country and we're proud of it. And we don't need to do all this divisive nonsense that's going on. But then cue into, like, they got into infiltrating everywhere. And our sports teams was a very, very big one. And it's been that way for over the years, with everyone adding the pride colors to their uniforms, their hats, their jerseys, whatever.
It was all coordinated
100%.
Between all the, and you're absolutely right. They hijacked the gay community, and the gay community right now
100.
is actually fighting back, saying, no, you know something? we don't agree with this.
Exactly.
But this is the only way they can take it to the next level. They needed some type of ramp to assist them. And this is the only thing that they had. And they tried to use it. And the gay community is actually fighting back, saying, we don't want any of this.
Right. They don't want to be associated with it. Exactly. Because it's just, again, it's taking advantage of a group that they're like, oh, we'll give you a voice. But then it takes it so far. It's like, wait a minute.
Well,
people
it's also,
don't want to be involved in it.
It's also hurting the gay community because when you start to see all these trans people and you start to see them, you know, they're being arrested, a lot of the individuals that were supporting the Democratic Party, it turns out, yes, they were grooming people. They were having sex with children. They were passing videos around.
They're also committing crimes.
Again, this also hurts the gay community because now people look at the gay community saying, wait, are you part of this or are you not part of this? And this is a huge problem for them. And I think this is why they're fighting back right now.
Well, and they also made it, I hate to say it, an excuse to sexualize our children by bringing curriculum. And I don't even I say curriculum very loosely because it's not a curriculum. They're calling it curriculum, but it's not. And it's brainwashing. And instead of teaching our children how to read and write and do arithmetic
and think logically,
right, the critical thinking skills, they're basically sexualizing our children by bringing this cult, I'm sorry, it's a cult kind of ideology in with this whole trans thing. And like, you're not a boy, you're not a girl, there's 400 million genders. And it's a detriment. And it doesn't have any place to be around our children. Drag shows should not be around our children. There's no reason to sexualize school. Like, I don't even understand when that became a thing and people are fighting about it. And I'm just like, are you out of your friggin' mind that this is what you think is appropriate for children whose minds are still developing, and to think that you get to put your moral compass, your sexual behaviors, and you're going to share that with children? Think about that for a second. That's sick. That's deviant behavior. It does not belong in schools.
You know, it's fun. You know, it's very interesting. If you had, say, a criminal, okay, and they infiltrated the schools with, say, criminals, and they were teaching them how to carjack, rob, steal, murder, and they were teaching all this, I think everyone would have a problem.
I would hope.
Everyone would go, whoa, wait a minute. What are you teaching our child? The same thing here, because, again, this is going against what the parents want. And you could see it. There was a certain time when the companies, the stores, the retail stores, like you just said, the sports teams, the NFL, Major League Baseball, it looks like the Major League Baseball, the players now out in San Francisco, they're fighting back, saying, you know, we don't believe in this. This is not what we believe in. Right. And you're forcing us to wear something that we don't believe in. And I think one of the pitchers decided to put a Bible verse on his hat, and this flared up a lot of controversy.
It was 3 different pitchers. I don't know what teams. I don't follow baseball that closely, but I was just following the story because I was thinking about this because I feel like so many sports players have such a strong grounding in their faith and their relationship with God, or, you know, Jesus, whatever their religious background is, because I think that's a big part of how you become a successful athlete. Like, you meditate, you pray, you visualize, you know, all those things,
and you work hard,
at it, and you have this strong, you know, sense of like faith, family, you know. And I feel like, of course, you know, but they're going along with it because, like, you know, when you're dangling the big paycheck and then everyone's doing it, and I think it's very hard to be the voice that stands up, as we talked about, like with Riley Gaines. It's a different scenario, but still, just to speak up in a group that everyone's going along with the Kool-Aid, it's very challenging. And I think that these Major League Baseball, because it happens, and this sport in particular happens to coincide with Pride Month, because this is the heart of baseball season. So these 3 different pitchers were like, put their scripture. So then they put the scripture. They had to have the pride thing on their hat. So then they put a scripture verse. And basically, Major League Baseball said, well, then we're going to fine you. But meanwhile, you didn't have a choice, that you had to do that representation. And to me, you're mixing people's ideologies and faith beliefs within the sport. What does the pride flag on your hat have to do with you playing a baseball game? Like, yes, you're playing for your team, you wear your team proudly, but when you start adding in these extra things, like, what are we actually doing? And then so I don't know if you guys know the comedian Rob Schneider. He's done like a lot of things over the years. He's great. If you don't follow him, again, I try to give little recommendations. If you're looking for good content on your Instagram feed, he'll show pieces from his comedy shows. He's been in like several Hollywood movies and things over the years, but he really just, to me, I love it. He uses comedy and talks common sense. And he has offered to pay the fines for every single baseball player that stands up against the Major League Baseball organization and is going to get fined for putting scripture, because he's saying that he's basically calling the league anti-Christian, because it's like, okay, so you're saying that they have to go along with this, but then if they stand up and share their faith and like, well, okay, I'm going to put this on my hat, they're going to get fined. He goes, I will pay your fines for you, which I thought was a really cool thing, because he has been blackballed. He's talked about it a bit here and there. He's been on the podcast circuit as well. But it's nice to see people standing up and their conviction, and I think that this is the most kickback I've ever seen, especially, and of course, like we've talked about this before, it's always easier once, the Trump administration is in charge and all of this. But I think more and more people, which I am glad to see it, though, I'm here for it, are more comfortable coming forward and joining everybody. I mean, I know people get mad about it. They're like, oh, that's not right. Where were they 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago? I'm like, you know what? I don't want to judge people for it, because I get it. Everyone has their different livelihood, their different thing. But what I'm glad about is that we're just putting more and more attention and then people are realizing, you know what? The majority is more behind President Trump and what he wants, bringing America back, making America great again, than not. I think so many people were silent for so long because they really, truly didn't feel comfortable in their own home and their own skin to come out and say what they really believed. And to me, it's just nice to see that we're finally seeing those things, that people are finally feeling comfortable sharing their voice. And we realize, you know what? You were never alone. A lot of people have been feeling this way, and they just didn't feel comfortable talking about it. And they didn't feel safe talking about it with certain people, because you didn't know who was going to turn their back on you next, whether it was family, friends, businesses, partnerships, business relationships, whatever the case may be, and your employer, whatever your situation is. And I understand it. I really do. And to me, I'd rather everyone join us eventually, and for whatever reason, then just you keep hiding in the shadows. But I feel like I'm glad people feel more comfortable getting out of the shadows. That's what I want to say.
No, I agree 100%. And this is why I've had this quote on my site since 2013. It's from Mark Twain. I think we read it before, but let me just read it again.
Worth repeating.
Yeah. In the beginning of change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated, and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. And that is exactly what's happening right now. And again, the people had a lot to lose. They would lose their job. They would lose, their income. They would lose a lot.
Right.
Now, as times are changing, the cost isn't there anymore, because again, more and more people are joining up to the movement. But again, it had to start somewhere. And if you look at President Trump and you look at all those people that have been pushing the message of being a patriot, yes, there were very few people, and they were hated. They were scorned. They were blocked. They were shut down. They lost their jobs. They did all of this.
Some still are,
some
honestly.
still are. But this is what always happens throughout time. And we can see that right now, more and more people are stepping up, which is what you need. In the beginning, you need, yes, a small force. And as time goes on, you need that force to grow.
Yes.
And you need people to become brave and say, okay, you know what? I can do it now, and let them join, because now people go, holy crap, that person is a conservative. Oh, wait, that person, holy crap. I didn't realize how many people there are.
I also think some people maybe weren't awake enough for it yet. And
yes, I agree that 100%
I know some people are sitting there going, and it's very easy for all of us to judge, but you really shouldn't, because maybe 5 years ago, that person didn't see what you were seeing. And they're like, oh, I'm just going to go along with it, because they weren't seeing the problem. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now, as more and more time, and I hate to say it, especially under Biden's administration, it was very glaringly obvious, I think, to a lot of people that whoa, what is going on now? Because we always said this, Obama was more of the slick guy, and a lot got through, and people didn't realize. But with Biden, to me anyway, it became glaringly obvious that wait a minute, what is this guy actually doing here? What is going on the White House lawn? I know people were freaking about the UFC match on the front lawn. I'm like, give me that any day. It looks so patriotic, seeing the Evel Knievel kind of stunts and all the fun and just showing what it means to fight for what you want. I think the message was so clear, and was also honoring our brave men and women who fight in the armed forces. I think it was such a beautiful, wonderful celebration during the month of June. And I feel like a lot of people are seeing it. And I think that, maybe people weren't there yet. Even everyone has their line or their aha moment or their awakening moment when they're like, oh my God. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? You look back, you're like, well, how did I not see that before?
Well, people hit.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. Again, this video It is premium, but I will have that in my daily news wrap-up. So if you watch that and you don't have premium, you'll be able to see the X22 report, Mr. and Mrs. X. Okay, let me click on this Rumble link here and take us over here to Mr. and Mrs. X on X22 report. This is the video I shared with you. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the
Appropriate
same
for
thing for
children
me.
who
All right, let's jump back here to the description box. And Susie Poll 2016 has joined us. Thank you very much. I do want to, okay, we've got 36 people watching here, and we've only had like 4 or 5 different people chat in the chat box. So by all means, if you know, give me a chat. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Now tomorrow, the family will be heading down to Arkansas to see my wife's sister, Aunt Sue. Now they're in the Central Time Zone, so my videos will be starting later than normal. Normally, I start them at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Savings Time or Eastern Standard Time in the winter. But in Arkansas, like I said, it's in Central Time Zone, which 8 o'clock there is 9 o'clock here. But the situation is Aunt Sue, my wife's sister Sue, her son lives just right next door to her practically. I mean, they live out in the country. Right next door is like, a quarter of a mile away. But her son and his wife have kids that are about the same age as our young ones. So they play heavy and they don't get in bed. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. I do the videos during the day, and I basically don't talk in them, is because it's too hectic around here with kids and everything. Okay, so I wait until bedtime, and they go to bed about 8 o'clock, so they're in bed and it's quiet, so I can do my videos. But down in Arkansas, when they're playing with my nephews, then and their cousins, they play long and hard. So I don't normally get this started. It'll be about 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Savings Time instead of 8 o'clock. So it's, even though I'm moving an hour in the Central Time Zone, it's going to delay the video 2 hours. Just giving you a heads up. Starting tomorrow for about a week, my daily news wrap-ups will be starting about 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I know Viper Senior, you'll be able you'll miss the live stream, but I hope you catch up on the replay later. Okay, as for right now, though, let's move to Wendy Bell, Weekends with Wendy. Let's see what she has to say. Here we go.
Oh, Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hello, good morning, everybody. How are you? It's supposed to be 100 degrees this week in Pittsburgh. Oh my gosh. And it's like for 4 days in a row, Brock. It's going to be sweaty.
4 days in a row.
Like it's supposed to be 99, 100, 98, 99. I'm like, ugh. Is it roasty where you guys are? I mean, I know it's summertime, for heaven's sakes, but this global warming stuff is killing me. Oh man, the socialist stuff is unraveling. It's not a good look for the Democrats, and some people have the balls to call it out.
Agra B4 gave $10, says, I'm actually awake for Sunday show. Good morning, WBR, me, Wendy Bell, and Brock.
Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. What's going on, everybody? Oh my, we've got a little bit of stuff to get to today, don't we? Brock, why don't you start things off? How's your weekend?
Wonderful, except for the rain.
Yeah.
Can it stop raining?
We did have a lot of rain.
Damn yard if it's raining. So I'm just.
Do you have any updated pictures to show us?
I showed one yesterday. No.
Let me see.
No, it's all done. I don't have it in front of me now.
Oh, okay. Me. We're doing the fun stuff at our house because all the kids are gone except Jack. And so we're going through everything and dumping a bunch of crap. So yesterday it was a bookshelf of all of their books from school that they had to read. And I'm like, whoosh, and I dumped a bunch. I think we got probably dumped 100 books, which was huge. And today it's the garage if our tea time at 10:10 isn't solid because we got so much rain yesterday. Brock was not
It wasn't
invited.
a
So
hard
no
rain.
offense.
It was just all day long.
All day long. All day long. Have you guys been listening at all to any of the stuff on social media, like from Bill Maher? I think he's given me our title for tomorrow. We're not doing social distancing anymore. We're doing socialist distancing. Actually, that was the Spencer
Yes.
Pratt thing. Isn't that great? We're going to socialist
Yes.
distance. Yes, 100% from the woke mind virus.
And
People
that's
coming out,
including
even
him, James
James.
Carville.
What? And then who are the people who are digging into it? Ro Khanna, Gavin Newsom. He just
All
put
the
out a
people running.
new. Yes. What's his face? Bernie Sanders, who's like Medicare for all. I'm like,
What?
that means Medicare for illegals. So I think
Lexus 350 just gave $50 as my birthday gift to you, Wendy and Brock.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, why are
I don't
you
know how
giving
that works
money?
for us.
Yeah. Everybody whose birthday now if you have a birthday, it's now
Yes,
established.
you have to
And
give
you
us
can
$50.
all be mad at Lexus 350. She has now
Yes.
set the new standard.
So then there's also all this stuff going on regarding who's funding the Democrat machine. And to the surprise of nobody, it's largely George Soros. But one of the things that's so fascinating that's coming out is they're going through the process of creating some bogus NGO with some money and then getting Congress to give more money to it. And it's always under some great name, the Peace Initiative. You're like, yeah, I like that. And it's like fundraising for nothing. And then the money goes back into the coffers of the Democrat machine. So literally creating things that Congress then rubber stamps because it's padding all of their pockets. It's the most filthy, disgraceful thing ever. And Besant is all over it. All over it.
And you wonder how much for them to rubber stamp it, how much are Republicans getting? Are they saying, hey, if you pass this, you get 20% of the take?
I would imagine yes.
Right? You would almost have to say that they have to be a part of it.
Why else would you vote in lockstep with so many things the Democrats get behind that just don't make any sense? And now you've got the whole Obamacare bullcrap crumbling too. So what did they find? They found like 1 million people who don't exist who are getting benefits, who are getting some kind of health coverage, but it's really not. And again, it's our money going to pay somebody who's cashing in on it. Meanwhile, our premiums go up, and our coverage we can't afford. And they're calling it out. And it's like Obamacare is where the smurfing began, because there are also people who don't know that their identities are supposedly on the Obamacare rolls. They're like, what? I never enrolled in the marketplace, but their identities, their social security numbers, their data has been stolen and used to create more money going into this. It's the biggest freaking racket. It's like, what's not a grift?
They're not worried about your premiums. They're worried about their pocketbook not getting. When you have to pay someone before and get any services, the government's going to cut healthcare people a check for nothing rendered, but you still have to pay for it. How does that even make sense?
And
Doesn't
you
even make
said,
sense.
go ahead.
No, it doesn't make sense. I'm going to pay you to lower the premiums, but the premiums don't lower. But you're still going to cut me this check anyways.
You know what we haven't talked about lately, and I don't have any substance to this, but the alien story sure dropped off the grid real fast, didn't it? Like for a while, people were kind of poking around about it. Oh, hold on. Murphy's leaning against me, so he wants you to see him. Murphy.
He wants his butt rubbed.
No, he wants his head scratched, right? Murphy, you going to say hi? Murph. There you go. There you go. There you go.
He's like, where's my snack? Ugh,
I love you too.
poor dog.
Oh, shut up. God knows what he was
Shame
just
him
licking.
into his butthole.
So where did all of the alien stuff go? Poof, it's gone. But it's going to come back, and it's going to come back in an interesting frenzy. Now we're walking into this like World's Fair week of celebration for the lead up to the 4th of July. We've got Josh Shapiro, our governor in Pennsylvania, who's like, yeah, we really don't want to participate. Pennsylvania doesn't really like Donald Trump, and so we're really not into the whole 250th thing.
And then
What?
Dave McCormick and John Fetterman are like, negative, we'll work on it ourselves. And
I don't even know what that means.
They're finding business. Josh Shapiro said he talked to the business people and they really don't want him. They don't really want to be involved. Well, apparently Dave McCormick and John Fetterman are like, we'll find people. So now they're working on it. It's so petty. The Democrats are so petty with this. Like, why wouldn't you want to celebrate your state? Josh Shapiro, why wouldn't you want to celebrate your state?
I thought this 250th thing, that was for the United States of America, the university or anniversary for the United States of America. And Pennsylvania, I believe, the last time I looked on a map, was part of the United States. But yet they're not going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States being an independent country. I guess that means that Josh Shapiro is not a member of the United States.
Why?
Well, we're going to watch.
We're
going to watch in the next several weeks as people like Bro Khan have become more evident. The people who are going to start putting their hat in the ring for the presidential nomination for the DNC, and it's just like it's going to be a who's who of what. Like, does Josh Shapiro think that this socialist movement that is so frighteningly anti-Jew, anti-Israel, is going to look at him and say, but we'll give you the top job because we trust you? There's like, who's giving him his political strategy? Is it the same person who told Ron DeSantis to run against President Trump in 2024? You're like, dude, it's not your time. He's like lover scorned. He needs his revenge, and this is it. We're going to give it to him. His 4-year revenge tour to set everything straight. This isn't your time, right? And we were like, what are you doing? So stupid.
And so at first I was like, okay, after Trump gave his saying, I'm going to run, and it was so low energy and so not Donald Trump. It was just him talking. I was like, what? Maybe Ron DeSantis is. But then it's like Donald Trump kicked back into Donald Trump mode.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I didn't want Donald Trump going, we're going to be calm and no, I want Democrats. That's what I wanted. So at first, yeah, I was okay with a possibly a DeSantis, but not anymore. I'd vote for Donald Trump again.
P.S.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. There's about 50 minutes left in this video, so it will be in my daily news wrap-up if you want to check back for that. Let me click the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. Weekends with Wendy. This is the video I shared with you. I've given her a thumbs up. Following her channel. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back over here. And let me copy this live chat into a comment. A lot of good chats going on. There we go. Close that out so that they will be a permanent part of this video. There we go. Okay. All right, and let me remind you, folks, that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer. I have the links in the description box of the videos themselves, as well as the links to the producers who created them, if you want to check out more information that they have. And these videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted over here on Murtech.com, where I have over 40 no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. Right there's the Andrew Klavan video that I shared with you. Right down here is X22 report, Wendy Bell, USA Watchdog. This is your one-stop shop for information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. The link to Murtech.com is in the description box also. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't drop cookies on your computer. It's I don't have a bunch of ads popping up in your face. Just no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Now, I'd like to share all of that information with you, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do so. And that's why I put together Murtech.com Daily News Wrap Up playlist. It says I have 22 videos in here, about 10 or 11 hours worth of great information. Here's Wendy Bell, Weekends with Wendy, Andrew Klavan, Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog, X22 report. I've dropped in some information here from the Y-Files. They always have interesting stuff. The asteroid behind the Bible's most famous disaster. Also, We the People News and Devory Darkins. A ton of great information. But for right now, go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or maybe a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15, 20 minutes so I can get this set up in Rumble Studio. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and share some information here with you from Rumble Wallet.
They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever.
Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button, and when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference.
Designed for patriots who stand tall, this cap captures the enduring spirit of liberty. The Liberty Bell stands proud this isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future. Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability.
Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom.
Okay, good deal. So, come again, meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll get going with my daily news wrap up. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.